Family visits and expectation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode. So, Tracy E., you just had a family visit, didn't you?
We did.
How'd it go?
It was awesome, actually. We had all of my daughter's husband's family come from the UK, and they stayed with us. Yeah. So my daughter just had a baby in October, and her husband's sister had a baby in June. And of course, because of the pandemic, nobody's been able to meet anybody or see anybody or whatever. So things finally opened up. They were originally supposed to be coming in January, but we got put back down into lockdown. And so they just came over, like literally, they just left like Monday, a week ago Monday. And it was amazing. I am very blessed in that I have such an incredible relationship with my in-laws. Like, we really do get along. Like, we plan trips on our own to take. We genuinely enjoy each other's companies. Yeah, like we just have a really good time together. So, and I know that that's probably not the norm for a lot of people. And I know that I don't take that lightly. I'm very fortunate that I have that experience with them. So yeah, the visit was amazing.
How do I want to say this? When you're going to see family, or when you have family coming over, do you have certain like expectations? Like, I remember going down to Florida. That's where my mom and my stepdad lived. And my stepdad kept us hopping. Like, there was something to do every day. And if I said to him, especially there's times when I went down when I was a single mom and I had my two small boys, and I'd be like, can we just like, I want to just stay home with them and let them play in the pool. And he'd be like, but I really wanted to take them. Like, there was this guilt trip, like type of situation. And it'd be like, okay, let's go do it. So it ended up like, as much as I loved always going down there, but there was a part of me that was like, when I got back on the plane, like, phew, okay. I don't know, do you guys ever have that type of expectations? Like, you try to make sure that when the family comes, like there's all this stuff, or was it just me?
I know the very first visit they had with us, yes, there was, I had expectations. Did I have expectations? I wanted the visit to be good. I wanted everybody to, hopefully get along. I wanted there to be no awkward moments, so yes, I put some expectations on myself for the very first time that they came to be with us, for sure. I did, yeah. And we did things in Toronto where we're from, so there was a bunch of things that we had planned for them to do. The standard touristy kind of things, because they hadn't been here, they hadn't done any of those things. And there was always that concern that I wasn't doing enough, or that we weren't doing enough. We should have planned more. We should have done this. We should have done that. Right.
Yeah.
And those expectations, interestingly enough, were expectations that I put on myself. I honestly don't believe that those were expectations that they had of us. Like, you guys have got to entertain us, you got to do this, you got to do that. Same thing, like when we went to see them, right? Like, they took us to all sorts of different places, and we went to plays, and we did this and we did that. And again, I was sort of thinking, like in retrospect, I'm like, okay, was that done because they thought they had to do that? Because again, like, visit brand new, we're new to England, we don't know what's going on, let's give them the royal treatment, so to speak. And it's funny because I think what happens is that if there was communication before visits as to what you wanted to have, it would be like,
just gonna
take all
say
of that stuff off the board. It's like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to hang out. We're good.
Yeah.
Just, might want to go to a couple of villages, to check out the little, streets and the quaint, cottages and all that kind of stuff. But yet, no, you don't need to do anything. And it's funny because we got into that flow very quickly of zero expectations. So, the next time we all got together, there was no expectation. It was like, we don't need to do anything. We're okay. We can all sit in the same room and read, and nobody's awkward. Nobody feels weird about it. It's not like somebody has to be doing something for somebody else. It just naturally flows. But I think what's so important is when you are getting together with people you haven't seen for a while, to lay out that expectation. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to, like what, like we're up for anything. Tell us what it is that you want. If you want to see a whole bunch of stuff, we'll make it happen. If you don't want to do any of it, we're good with that too.
Right? But then you have to watch out for the, I don't want anything, or they're saying it doesn't bug them, even though it does. Like, you have to have that real honesty about, this is your trip too. Like, you're traveling to Canada. What do you want to do here, right? You might, exactly that. We want to hang with you, but we also want to go off on a little excursion by ourselves or something.
And that's excellent, Tracy G. So then roles reversed, because my mom and stepdad would come up to Connecticut when I lived there, because my grandmother lived next door to me at that time. And so she always wanted to come up to see her mom, because my grandmother could not always make, because of her age, the trip down there, and they were constantly going. So then I would come, like one day something happened. My mom's like, okay, I have the day for you guys. What do you want to do? And I'm like, nothing. Why don't you and Daddy just like go take a nap this afternoon? And I'm just going to put some burgers on the grill and we're just going to sit. And she's like, well, no, Daddy wants to take you out to dinner. And I'm like, yeah, no. So it was like, you have to find that, like my voice or balance again, that I had to like kind of retrain my mom and my stepdad to be like, no, we're not. We're going to spend a day of nothing. Like just nothing. You can sit in the backyard and talk to your grandchildren. We don't have to be in a restaurant. And, to your point, Tracy G, there is that, you have to find that common ground where you have to make sure the people are being honest with you, and have a comfort level to say, you know what, I just, Pete, let's say it's me, Pete and I are going to go out, we're going to go try that restaurant. We're just going to spend some time, the two of us.
If that's laid out in advance, there's no issue. And the other thing too, and I want to challenge that, if the person that's coming to visit you isn't honest with you, that you don't need to take that on. That's not your emotional burden to take on. It's like that's their thing. No, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we do, right? As certainly as people pleasers, probably more so as women, it's like, oh, this is all my fault. I should have anticipated this. I didn't do a good job here. It's like, we've said, let's collaborate on what this vacation is going to look like. You're going to tell me. And if, you guys want to go out for dinner on your own to some place, no problem. Have at it. Like, that's good. And if they aren't honest, I can't control that.
But you have a good relationship. So what happens if you weren't having a good relationship with these family members, but you had to commit to once a year, one of you traveling to the other, this doesn't go to you, Tracy, because obviously it's the opposite, but for someone that's like, okay, now what are my expectations of when they arrive? What are they expecting of me? I'm not really good at communicating with them because we don't have the best relationship. So how do you maybe take that on without driving yourself crazy?
I think the easiest thing is that you create your own boundaries of what is okay and what is not okay, and you show up how you want to show up, because that's the only control you've got. You are the only control point in that relationship. You have no control over what they are going to do, how they are going to react. And you can request things and they will do whatever it is that they want to do. And you have to manage your state. That's where that comes in. Because really it is, it's just about, okay, what do I want to do about this? Do I want to create drama? Do I want to, whatever, they get to be them. Do I, does Uncle Bill irritate me? Sure, Uncle Bill irritates me, no problem, whatever. I'm not going to have that affect me so that it affects everything else.
But
I have this amazing experience already for you, and you're going to love it. And you've never been to Vancouver before, and I'm going to show you. And just spend one day with me, because I'm going to take you to all the best, not best places, but the places you should see. And it's like, no, not going to do it. I'm going to feel that because I want them to experience something of where I live or whatever. I want to, I know I'm going to have a hard time swallowing that. I don't have any other town people, so I'm good, but I'm just saying.
But I hear what you're saying. I think it comes down to communication. I really do. I think, Tracy, to your point, you set your boundaries, but even as a person coming in, you have to feel comfortable to sit down. Tracy, gee, I cannot wait to come see you, and you saying, Michelle, what do you want to do? And I'm being like, you know what, Tracy? Nothing. I have had one hell of a year. I know you live in a beautiful city. I really just want to spend the weekend with you. We can go out to dinner maybe on Friday night, but do you mind the rest of the time? Saturday, I want to cook for you. I think it's learning that communication and setting like all this expectations up.
But and here's the other thing I just want to ask is that if you say all of that, oh, I've got this, there's all these things I want to do, and I want to, blah, blah, and you do all of that, and they go, no, I don't want to do that. What are you making that mean? What's the story you are now telling yourself?
Oh, I'll tell you what they tell you. Yeah.
Okay, but that's the thing.
I'm ripping up some drama is what I'm doing.
But that's what I mean, though. So that's the thing.
I'm gonna hold it against you for the next 10 years.
You can do that. But
this is not from experience, everyone.
Isn't that a tremendous amount of energy for nothing? It's like not worth it. So like, there's no question that you can be disappointed because you want to do something, but that's okay. And you can say, oh, you know what? I'm disappointed. I wanted to share my city with you or whatever else, but that's okay. It doesn't change how you decide that you want to be in that moment. It really doesn't. No, it only changes it when you create the drama and you create the story about, them not wanting to see what you've got planned out for them.
So it all falls back on you.
It's always you,
right?
It's always us, right? It's always us and what we are, the stories we're telling, how we decide we want to show up. What is it we want to do with this piece of information? It's like, what do you want to do with it? It's always about that, always. We're always the control point. We are the only things that we get to control. Our emotional states are the only thing we ever get to control, ever, ever, ever. And sometimes it's really hard, right? Like the emotions are just like out the door and you're like, wait, bring that back, right? But, it's already out the door. You're like, but again, you get to decide what you want to do with that.
Yep. Drama, no drama.
Yeah.
No,
communication with family members.
Yeah,
I swear it can be, and I mean I could be coming from and that's not true because I have other family members that are like my other extended family members that are people would sometimes say, oh, that's a difficult scenario, and it's like, okay, well, it can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
I can make it difficult.
Right.
Or I can just say, hey, you get to be you, I get to be me.
Right.
End of story.
But what?
Yeah.
But what if you're being you and they just keep pushing you and they're want a reaction? They want a bit of drama from you. How do you?
Okay, but that's the boundary part, right? You can. That's
so
when
how,
you get
so
to say,
how do you put that boundary up?
you tell them. Boundaries are something that have to be spoken so that the other person understands where the rules are, what the breaking point. Like the simple thing is to like, you know, somebody comes in and they light up a cigarette in your home and you're like, I'm sorry, no one's allowed to smoke in my home. If you want to smoke, you have to go outside. And the person, and you know, lights up another one. And then you say, okay, look, if you're going to keep doing this, you are no longer allowed to be here. Right? I've clearly created the boundary that you have to be outside or leave permanently if you're going to continue to smoke. So there's no question there. Here's where boundaries end up running into problems. The person comes back in, lights up, almost like a test. And it's like, now what do I do? Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because I now have to execute what it is that I've said that I'm going to do. Sorry, you know, Joe, you're out. You got to leave. I'm not seeing you anymore. Bye. Or someone is yelling at you and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't want to be yelled at. We can talk about this calmly. If you're going to continue to yell, I'm going to be leaving the room. Boundary spoken. When it happens, you have to be willing to say, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this, and walk out the room, right? So there really isn't any difference. Where it gets uncomfortable is when we have to execute on the boundary that we have created. But I think you got to be really sure that you want that boundary there in the first place.
But I think it's huge that you said boundaries need to be spoken, because I would have never thought it that way. Like I go, oh, I got my boundaries, but am I speaking them? And then, you know, that's the huge one where you have to come and actually execute.
Yeah. You have to speak it, because if I don't know what your boundary is, then how do I know when I'm going to cross it, right? How do I know when I'm, you know,
well, I just sit like this. That's not read my mind.
Well, that's and it's funny that you say like read my mind, like try to understand. Like Tracy, gee, if you said, well, gee, I have the whole day planned. Well, why? Why did you plan the whole day? Why is it important to you that you plan the whole day, Tracy?
Oh, you're asking me for real?
Yeah.
Oh, if that was me, I would say because I want you to think that what I did was amazing. Right?
Why is that?
Have a really amazing day, but you know what? If you have an amazing day, that reflects on me, and now I look good.
Well,
that's not how I really feel, but maybe.
Yeah, but see,
you're doing something out of love, right?
Yeah. So you're having this conversation like, I want you to have an amazing time, you know, without understanding what my definition of amazing time is. Yeah. You're going with your amazing time, but my amazing time is, like I said before, I've had a hell of a 6 months. This is the first time I'm out of the United States. I don't want to go tripping. I want to spend time with you. I want to build a memory with you. The memory isn't going to 17 different places in 8 hours, eating too much food, like being uncomfortable. I'm still uncomfortable. I want to spend time with you. So I think that's another, we talk about boundaries, but also understanding why is it important, you know, like my dad, like, why did you want to take my boys out constantly? Well, that's because I'm here and I'm the grandfather and I should be taking them out. Well, no, sit and have a freaking conversation with them.
Yeah.
No, like that better than you took them to Pizza Hut. Like, let's sit and build some memories around the kitchen table, not in a restaurant. You know, try to get that understanding, I think sometimes. I don't think there's always that communication between family or what we want to do or do. There's sometimes when Pete and I are getting ready to go to Florida, I'll say to him, what do you want to do when we go to Florida? And he'll be like, is there something specific? Like, let me know now. So when we go down, because your mom's going to be going, let's say, no, we're going to do this day. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. And we'll tell her like, no, you know what? This day we want to go sit on Marco Island Beach. We just want to spend the day there. Parameters are set up. Off we go.
Yeah, you spoke your boundary. We're going to do this.
Yes.
And you communicated. So
right. So I think
you've created, you've set the expectation of this is what's going to happen. And now the person's like, oh, okay. Now I know what you're doing. That's okay, right? And there is no room for that drama or that, making it mean something about me or you or any of that.
Always
stuff,
room for drama.
True story. That's a true story, Tracy.
That's a whole nother episode. That's a freaking whole nother. So, know what I think would be really cool? If people had comments on how they set boundaries, if they put it in our comments, how they set boundaries when they're getting ready to go out, either to see family or families coming over or whatever. I'd love to hear, because I think sometimes we think we know, but we never think of something. I'd love to hear if somebody puts that in the comments.
Oh, there's always another great idea out there, for sure.
I know. There always is.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.